Hello and welcome to Gaming Again. My name is Muzz and welcome back to another Muzzpressions. I think the first one of 2022, which is crazy when you think about it, considering we're in March now. And I like to apologise. There is going to be no game footage from any of the games that I do for the foreseeable future, just because I can't find my cable, which sucks. But it also fits in with what I'm trying to do. Can I do more face-to-face contact, face-to-camera contact, I guess, rather than face-to-face. But anyway, the game we're talking about today is Dying Light 2, the sequel to the very underappreciated Dying Light. It is a game where it's a zombie. It's a very standard kind of premise. Zombie apocalypse. You're stuck in a city. Shenanigans ensue. Now, the first Dying Light I really liked in terms of the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was fun. The combat was pretty engrossing. The weapons that you had, some of them were pretty crazy. And the parkour elements, the running, the jumping over the buildings, drop kicking zombies, all that stuff was pretty fantastic. And I think that's why a lot of people loved it. And then you had the night sections, which were good. I wouldn't say they're great because I think the first couple you're like, oh, it's really good, but then they kind of, you know how to survive them after that. And it had this real cult following that thankfully gave us Dying Light 2. The story in Dying Light 1, not the best, and I'm just going to come out, and say it, that Dying Light 2 story, I have absolutely zero interest in. Aiden, the main character, probably just he's just another generic guy. Like, there's no real... He's got a backstory. I couldn't care less. Honestly, I just want to kill some zombies, do some parkour challenges, and explore the city. And frankly, that's all I've been doing. The game is... Obviously, you need to progress through the story, but the missions and the story just isn't that interesting. Again, I will say that the world at this time seems a lot more interesting in terms of it's not just a post-apoc. It's not just a city that's fallen into ruin because of the zombies. It's now like in the future, 20 years, 30 years in the future, and society's kind of had to rebuild itself. Around the zombies, and so there's a lot more rooftop elements. There's a lot more UV lights to scare away the zombies. And it just really shows off the world and kind of the world building which is going on, which gives you some nice context. The parkour is still fantastic. It's still such a joy to do, running, jumping. It's not perfect. It's first person platforming, which is difficult to do, but actually does it quite well. Dying Light 2, you'll miss a few ledges and you'll be like, ugh, I should have grabbed that, but that's just the nature of the game. Combat is still fun. A lot more visceral attacks, like you can slice off a zombie's leg. The human encounters aren't that interesting, to be honest. The enemies can attack one at the time and you know how to deal with it. There's a lot more variety of zombies now. There's a spitter, which is annoying as fuck when you're trying to get away. There is almost like an alarm at night where if you get too close to it, it'll let off a big screech and it'll alert everyone. And the visceral, is that what they're called? The kind of super infected, the ones that are really, really tough to deal with. And then you've got like faster ones and all that. So overall, the gameplay is probably on par, if not a little bit better than Dying Light 1. The night has changed a little bit, so I think in order to combat the way that the night occurred in Dying Light 1 was the first couple of times you went out, you were like, oh, this is ridiculous, how am I going to get through this? And then after that, you're kind of like, okay, I know what to do, I can just run. So they have a kind of immunity timer, so you're infected because of course you are. It's a zombie game. It wouldn't be a zombie game if the main character or one of the sub main characters weren't infected with something. So at night or when you're in the dark, you have a timer that slowly turns down, and I presume if you let it run down all the way, you turn into a zombie, and obviously you don't want it to happen. So you can you have stuff on you that can help with that, and it does add a little bit of tension. I wouldn't say it's like that intense because I don't actually care. But when you're in scavenging buildings and stuff, and they've also added that as well, I will say, when you go into a building during the day, a lot of zombies are in there, so you need to come back at night, so it's a lot more dangerous to get there. But once you're in, you can actually scavenge without having to deal with a horde of zombies in a building, stuck in a building with a horde of zombies. And yeah, overall, that is kind of it. I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying as I say, the gameplay, the story. Not that good, but I wasn't expecting that. I do like the kind of the premise, the time period that we're in. It's in the future, and it's a little bit more kind of like what Horizon done, where although it's the future, we've kind of went back in terms of our technology. Like there's no guns, none of the enemies have guns. You don't have a gun, which I think is good because in the first time, like the gun combat was not that good. So anyway, that is my thoughts on Dying Light 2. Let me know what you think. Hopefully I will have my wire back. I do not know where it is, and I can put up some gameplay of my next couple of Muzzpressions, because I have a lot to do. A lot. Dying Light 2 is done. Horizon Forbidden West. And Elden Ring. 3 massive open world games released 3 weeks apart, 4 weeks apart. Like, come on. Could we not have had one in January when there was nothing? Could we not have one in March when there's not really that many? Like, give us time to play these games. Oh, thank goodness I finished Spider-Man before that. Otherwise, it'd have been... I still have to... Oh, there's so many games. Why is there so many games? Anyway, with all that said, let me know what you think of Dying Light 2 in the comments. Is it a game you're going to pick up? Have you already picked up? You probably have, because it's so many weeks in the future from when it actually came out. But anyway, with all that said, all that's left to say is any thoughts, comments, general hostile remarks, leave them below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.